Hi, everybody. My name is Ellie Lee, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I discuss all things about what it means to really become an evolved, true awakening being in this lifetime. Welcome. Today, we're talking about emotional fragility, and we're talking about the programs of avoidance and resistance that we all mostly run until you don't. All right. And what does that even mean? And what are you even talking about? So I'll start here. Emotional fragility is literally a plague that has plagued humanity. All right. It's all done by design. There are parasitic evil entities that have ruled our world for a long time, and they're part of their huge agenda to enslave humans is to make humans so emotionally fragile, right? Make humans constantly run away from their stuff. They don't want us to feel our stuff. They don't want us to learn true education on how to process traumas, how to process emotions. They want us so fragile because when a species, humans, are so fragile, when they're so easily taken over by fear, by anxiety, by unworthiness, whatever it is, we are easily controllable. And part of the brainwashing that's done to us is that we're constantly looking to saviors outside of us. So whether that's religion, whether that's Jesus, whether that's an antidepressant, whether that's a government official, whether that's the president of the United States, everything is done to us so that we're constantly seeking something to save us outside of us so that we never go inward. And because we're so fucked up and we have so much trauma, not only from patriarchy, but our individual traumas, right? We have to look for something outside of us because we're not safe within ourselves and we're not powerful within ourselves. That's all part of the plan. So that you are constantly reaching, and the parasitic entities want to control you, want to manipulate you, want to take your life force energy, want to use you, okay? They want to have complete control over you because when they completely control you, you are a slave. And they've brainwashed us so well that many people would hear that and call me a liar, call me crazy. They would deny it because they're so emotionally fragile that they can't handle truth when they hear it because it brings up so much stuff in them and they can't handle it. And this is part of the brainwashing. So they'll deny you and they'll call you crazy. And what they don't know is that they're locking in evil, they're locking in the patriarchy, and they're locking in us living on hell on earth because everything is energy. Okay. So I remember really starting to see when I started doing the real work on myself, how emotionally fragile I really was, right? What we have become masters in is mastering emotional fragility. Okay. So everything in our patriarchal, upside down hell of a world that we've all been brought up in is there's no education on how to process, alchemize anything. Of course not, okay? Then we're raised by unenlightened caregivers, parents, whoever raised you, okay? And then we're brought up in an unenlightened society. We're brought up in a patriarchy that is hell on earth, okay? So what they do to us is that they don't teach us anything. So all of us are riddled with all kinds of trauma, okay? And trauma on every single level, and programming and conditioning and brainwashing on every single level, okay? Your jaw would be on the floor every second if you knew how insanely and intricately we are brainwashed. There's a class that I'm about to take in my third semester at the school that I'm in, Masters of Self University. It's a metaphysical school called Understanding Mind Control. And seeing the satanic matrix that we've all been brought up in, okay? I'm so excited for it. Anyways, so a part of all of that is that we're so riddled with trauma and we're so messed up, okay, that we start to grow up with all of this unprocessed inner child wounds and traumas and all of the things that we experience in this world. We become masters at learning how to suppress things, repress things, avoid things, resist things, push things away, bury it deep inside, okay? So what we're really good at is when our pain comes up, what can we do so that we don't feel that? So we drug it away, we drink it away, We sex it away. We porn it away. We, even working out. I remember I recorded this podcast episode with this really big influencer guy, really nice guy. And we were talking about doing the work on ourselves. And I said to him straight up, without judgment, I said, when your pain comes up, do you run to the gym because you know it's going to make you feel better? And he said, I do. And I said, that right there is self-abandonment. Your stuff just came up. A wounded inner child just showed up. And you went, nah, I'm going to go do this other thing. And you don't understand that what you just did to you is what everybody's done to you and what everybody's done to that inner child. And that right there is emotional fragility. Do everything not to feel this. I mean, how many people you know get so drunk or they go to happy hour after they've had a hard day because they're so emotionally fragile that they can't sit with themselves and open up and process and bring love to everything that happened that day that made it a really hard day. And then not to mention the brainwashing of society of like, yeah, just like party it away, drink it away, just do whatever not to feel that. And then you wonder why we have eating disorders and we have suicide and we have addiction problems. And this is what they've created. We're slaves to that. And not to also mention, we have been completely brainwashed to live from our minds. One of my teacher's quotes that I heard from day one, that I will hear for the rest of my fucking life is this. Your mind is a dick. Get out of your mind and drop into your heart. And what I've learned from her over the years is this. When you're so trapped in here, especially even in the spiritual matrix, when they tell you things like, oh my God, heal from your mind, heal from your fucking mind, do everything from your mind, reprogram your mind. What they've taught us to do is stay up here so we never go in here. And what that does, I'll never forget this teaching she did because I was like, whoa. When you're trapped in here, it severs the connection from your soul, from your heart, from your divinity. Of course. They all want you trapped in here because this shit is fucking insane. Your mind is batshit crazy. Think about how many thoughts you have in a fucking second. And then we've all been brainwashed to go, oh my God, yeah, this is true. I should follow this. Instead of listening to your soul guidance and listening to your heart. I mean, really think about that for a second. And she's got another quote that literally says, everyone's got an addiction to thinking. It's like, yeah, that's why we're so fucked up. Because we're so trapped in here. And we're so fragile that to go into here means I gotta feel pain. Fuck no. I'm just gonna go drug it away. I'm just gonna go Netflix it away for 20 hours. I'm gonna go doom scroll to avoid what's asking for my love, for my guidance, for my presence. Because truly, power is when you feel what is asking to be felt. That's power. Okay? So we're all emotionally fragile. And when you're so emotionally fragile and you're so messed up and you've got so many things that you don't want to feel, what they brainwash to also do is look for a savior outside of you. Ooh, yep. So whether it's religion, whether it's Jesus, whether it's an antidepressant, whether it's the government, whether it's the president of the United States, I need something outside of me to make me feel better. I need something outside of me so that I don't have to feel. And that's all designed so that you stay so weak and powerless, needing a savior. Because when you need a savior, you will feed the parasitic evil entities and all of their agendas. Why do you think the pharmaceutical industry is $1 billion industry? Because we're all so gone that we need a pill to numb us out. You ever hear someone on antidepressants go, oh, I wish I could cry, but I'm on antidepressants. Everyone laughs about it like that's fucking funny. They've dehumanized you. None of that is fucking funny. Do you understand? Are you starting to see how deep this shit goes? So emotional fragility is an epidemic. And many of us came here into this lifetime to become powerful beings. Because enough is enough. We came here to awaken for real. My teacher always says, you cannot descend into the darkness. You cannot ascend without descending into the darkness. You must descend for you to ascend. I was like, drop the mic on that one. I was so emotionally fragile my entire life. I was so messed up because I had no one teaching me this. I had no one guiding me. I get it. Like, for all of you guys at home, like, I understand. But then there's a calling that happens that goes, okay, enough of that. It's time for you to rise for real. They put me on antidepressants when I was 16 years old. I'm a child, and they put me on synthetic pills. That completely fucked me up for the next 19 years. Okay? When I was 32 years old, I was like, I cannot keep living like this. The depression, the anxiety, constantly in freeze and survival. I could not keep living the way that I was living. So I started doing inner work on myself. And when I started doing inner work on myself, I was like, whoa, there's a lot here, sis. And when I started going and started doing the work on myself, I knew like 3 years in, I was trying to like piecemeal all this stuff. And I was like, I'm still messed up. And it wasn't until I found a true teacher, true teachings, divine truth teachings, that I started to learn how to really become powerful. Okay. So over the past 4 years, the first thing that I learned at Masters of Self University and from my teacher, Rachel Fiori, is learning how to connect to my heart and open it. She gave there was this class that we were in one time, and she said, you know, when someone tells you to face your fears, she goes, oh my gosh, don't do that. She's like, why would you ever face your fears? That is so scary. And I was listening to her, I was like, huh? And she goes, if you're facing your fears and you are not divinely connected to the truth of you, to your heart, to your soul, to your divinity, when you face your fears, why would you ever do that? And I was like, oh, okay. What she taught me from day one was learning how to connect to my heart, to my divine power. And whatever starts showing up, whatever triggers bring whatever pain, I started to learn how to face them, but I was connected to my power when I did. I was connected to my heart when I faced the terror, when I faced the depression, when I faced the anxiety, when I faced the unknown, when I faced the lack of control, whatever it was. She was teaching me from day one how to start becoming powerful so that whatever energies came shooting at me, came fully took over me, I knew what to do with it. And 2 years into studying under her and integrating and becoming what she was teaching me, I got off antidepressants after 19 years, and I have never looked back. It's been 2.5 years. Never looked back. Why would I ever take anything if I know what to do when the shit hits the fan? That does not mean that it's not motherfucking painful, because pain is painful. But part of the human experience is that we are meant to feel pain. It's part of what we're here to do. But where we've been brainwashed is that we get lost in suffering. We are here to feel emotions, and they have dehumanized us not to feel anything. And then you wonder why men are so angry and violent and brutal, because since they were little boys, they've been dehumanized to not feel anything but anger. Look at most of the murderers and the rapists, people who shoot up schools. They're not girls or women. They're boys and they're men. The patriarchy has completely fucking annihilated little boys and men. Women, we have a much greater chance. If you look at people who are truly on the awakening path right now, when I look at the classes that I coach, the classes that I'm in at our school, it's mostly women. Does not mean that there aren't men in there really doing the work on themselves, but it's a very small percentage versus the women. Women are here to rise, and they're going to rise so much faster than men, of course, because the divine feminine is waking, and it is time for women to become what they really are. Women are the physical portals of the source herself. We are the physical manifestations of the creator herself. Okay. We create, we give birth. We were always meant to be the leaders. But in patriarchy, in the upside down world, men are leaders. And look at that world. genocide, war, child trafficking, raping of women, abuse of all kinds, inhumane torture and slaughter of animals. I mean, how much time do you have? Because I could go on and on and on. It is time for people to really do the work on themselves. This is the lifetime where you've been called to elevate, to rise. And you must learn how to do the real work on yourself and not follow all of these other avenues that are trying to veer you away in the spiritual matrix world of like love and light and like orgies and tantra and like women fucking showing their assholes on and saying that that's freedom and embracing your dark feminine and all this fucking bullshit and do ayahuasca every month. Guys, tools are there to assist when it is needed, when it is called. Men especially need tools. Women, learn how to connect to here. Learn how to connect to here. And if you feel called to bring in the ayahuasca as you're learning how to become the divine power yourself, okay, great, beautiful. That sacred medicine is here to assist, but not to be abused. And all we do is abuse, because that's the patriarch. That's the patriarch. So, it is time, this is the lifetime for the ending of emotional fragility. And it is the lifetime of the beginning of power, divine, pure power. And that means you got to start feeling your shit. But you got to learn how to alchemize and connect to your divinity when the shit comes up. Because that, my friends, is how we start creating a new earth, how we start raising our level of consciousness, and how we start extinguishing hell on earth to exist. If that really hits you, mastersofselfuniversity.com. We enroll students 3 times a year at our school, okay? Our fall semester has started, but our spring semester is enrolling. Masters of Self University podcast if you want to learn more. Gold in that podcast. All right? Thanks so much for being here. Subscribe, like, comment, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.